Thank you so much, Raja. I appreciate it. So, I have to start off by saying I'm a much more dynamic speaker in person than I am sitting behind a computer screen, which is kind of blah. Um, it's always hard to cut things down to 10 minutes. When I first presented at Million Cups, I was very fortunate because the other two speakers didn't come. So I asked for and was given the full slot. I'm a professor, so I can speak for 3 hours if you want, but I'm going to keep it to 10 minutes. So I've started my clock. Uh, so I just wanted to talk about my journey because I thought it might be helpful for those other entrepreneurs and different recommendations and whatnot that I've had over the years. So I'm going to start with Silver Sage magazine. Um, I'm going to share my screen for a second here. So I started Silver Sage magazine. I don't know if you guys can see this.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I launched Silver Sage magazine in March 2018. And this concept came about because I am a silver sager. I have two young daughters. At the time, they were, late teenagers. They were getting all these magazines coming into the house that didn't resonate with me. The fashion didn't resonate with me, the styles, the advice columns and whatnot. So talked to a lot of people and decided that Silver Sage magazine was something that was really necessary and needed out there in the community. So I did a soft launch in March 2018. I immediately connected with SCORE, which was absolutely invaluable. I was very lucky to get Lou Allegra as my mentor, and he was awesome. And we worked every week for the first year. So we met together in person every single week for the first year. And then we sort of titrated back as Silver Sage was moving forward, maybe every other week. And then we went monthly. Throughout the process of Silver Sage magazine, Lou was very intentional in his recommendations or thoughtfulness. He didn't necessarily give advice, but he definitely steered me in the right direction. One thing that he was very adamant about was that if I really wanted Silver Sage magazine to work, I needed to go full hog into it. I needed to do it full time. And I don't know about any of you, but I am a consummate addict to um, to the show Shark Tank, and one of the people on Shark Tank, Mr. Wonderful, says the same thing, that if you're not going to do it full time, then it becomes a hobby. He also talks about that if you're not going to do it, um, that if you're not going to do it, uh, and make money within the first couple of years, then it just becomes a hobby. Well, that was in line with Lou Allegra as well and SCORE's recommendation. But the thing is, there's also as many people as that say that you need to go full time. There's also those people that also recommend, the people that start in their garage or in their basement and they're working 5 to 9 a.m. after their day job because they have to pay the bills. I was one of those people. I could not afford to do Silver Sage full time. I have bills to pay, I have mortgage, etc. So I couldn't do it full time. And so I did it as a part-time basis. Hindsight's 2020, right? So I think in the long run, if I had put as much time and energy into doing Silver Sage full time, I think I would be perhaps in a different place as I am now with it. Um, Silver Sage is doing well. We're kind of continuing. I love it. If I won the lottery tomorrow, I would probably do Silver Sage full time with my practice on the side. But I haven't won the lottery yet, and I need to pay the bills. So it's a great project. What keeps me going are the readers and the writers. So every once in a while, I'll get a writer who will just thank me profusely. Thank you so much for letting me write for you. blah, blah, blah. Or I'll get a reader saying that the prose on the magazine is so well read and so well written, and they really enjoy it. And that kind of keeps it going. We did have an interest from Condé Nast, which is a huge magazine organization. They own hundreds of titles of magazines worldwide. And we were very fortunate to get a look-see from Condé Nast. Unfortunately, at the same time, COVID hit, and the people that we were working with ended up getting sick, and it's kind of on a pause right now. So that's been about 8 months. So that's been a huge disappointment for us. Uh, and so Silver Sage kind of ebbs and flows with what we're doing with that. So in the meantime, I've been an educational psychologist for nearly 3 decades. And so I kind of went back to my roots. I've had a practice for nearly 3 decades. And I went back to that and reopened up here in the Lehigh Valley. So opened up Center Street Center in the historic district of Bethlehem. And I opened the doors in August 2019. And since August 2019, I've quintupled sales and staff since I opened those doors. So that has kind of been the direction I've been going, because again, it pays the bills. Um, in addition, I guess, Raja and Million Cups was interested in our new product. We did, as part of Center Street Center, we get a lot of clients who are looking for alternatives to prescription medication, and they're looking for more natural ways to deal with stress and anxiety and insomnia. So they asked, and we delivered centered CBD. So we're launching a CBD line coming. Well, it was supposed to launch a week ago, but we had some product snafus that were delivered unsaleable. So that put us back 2 weeks. So we're hoping May 15th will be the official launch of centered CBD. So that is something that we've gone towards as an addition to. I will say also that during this process, as Raja said, I don't consider myself a serial entrepreneur, as I consider myself a serial thinker. I'm always thinking of products, I'm always thinking of different ideas. And recently, I was the only female panelist in I don't know what it's called. Maybe somebody else knows the answer to this question. Raja, I'm sure you do. It was a panel. I call it like a micro Shark Tank in the Lehigh Valley. It was put on by one of the programs that's in on the south side of Bethlehem.
Okay. Was
Do
it
you know
factored?
what? Right. It was a competition. So you entered the competition with your product or your service or your idea. And out of hundreds of contestants, I think they picked a handful, maybe, I think there were 10 or 12 of us. Of the 10 or 12, I was the only female panelist with an idea. Still a brilliant idea, still something that I think is a worthwhile endeavor. But again, every idea takes funding, every idea takes marketability and whatnot. And I think that brings me back to Silver Sage again. If I had a full-time social media person that I could afford to pay, I think that would have made the difference between the success and failure of Silver Sage magazine. But we didn't have the funds to pay someone to do that full time. And as a Silver Sager, I'm not real, I'm savvy with with the social media. I can post on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and Etsy and all of those, Pinterest, etc. But it's incredibly time consuming. So you can't do it all, and you have to be able to delegate those responsibilities to other people. But in so doing, you also have to pay those people. And so you need to have the funding in order to be able to do that. So those are kind of different projects that I've done. And I'm loving all of them. I love my Center Street Center. looking forward to the launch of Centered CBD. So if anyone's interested in some CBD product, hit us up. It'll be centeredcbd.us. My website here, I'll show you the other website for Center Street Center. Center Street Center um, is a women-owned small business. So we're certified as a WOSB, and we're also a benefit limited liability company, which basically means that, just show you some of the tabs, which basically means as a benefit company that we provide services in the community at a reduced fee. So for example, um, typical psychological evaluations in Lehigh Valley are $3,500. We offer them at $1,250. We do custody evaluations. Again, typical custody evaluation that I used to do in Chester County were $8,000 to $10,000, and we offer them at $2,250. Same service, but we offer a reduced fee for those community members who can't afford it, because we really believe in that. We also take insurance and, different things. So, and then the um, Silver Sage magazine, you can see there's different sections, um, and whatnot. So composition, culture, um, we have both men and women. So hopefully that is helpful. And there's my 10 minutes.
Okay, well, Tracy, thank you for sharing your journey with us. So, as a reminder to our audience here, I will be monitoring the chat. Feel free to put your question on the chat, and I will certainly um, ask those questions to to Tracy. But let me start out by asking you, as I was watching your presentation and as I was watching the things that you have done. So, a question that I have for you is, so you started a Silver Sage magazine, it's still ongoing, and I'm pretty sure that there are certain things that you learn in that process. So what are some takeaways from the Silver Sage magazine endeavor to the new venture that you have got right now? So what are some things that you learned, do's and don'ts, when you started the new entity?
I think it's very different. So I don't think there's a crossover between Silver Sage Magazine and Center Street Center, or even Centered CBD, because Silver Sage Magazine is a digital magazine. There's no fee for service. There's no subscription fee. So it's a free magazine online. So the only way to earn revenue from that is through advertisements. And that's why we were excited with the Condé Nast connection, because had they bought us out, or had they wanted to do some advertising on our magazine, that would have taken us to the next level. But I would say that the biggest takeaway from Silver Sage magazine is, I was putting in probably 25, 30 hours a week on top of a regular full-time job that also included at the time 24/7 critical care. So I was on call 24/7. So if I got called at 2 o'clock in the morning, I had to go to the hospital, in addition to working Silver Sage Magazine nights and weekends. And I loved it, no question about that. But I think the takeaway for me would be getting funding in order to pay people to help you get to where you need to be. You can't do it all. And I was trying to do everything on my own, and I just couldn't do it all.
Yeah. Let's stay with your, let's stay with your first venture, the Silver Sage magazine. So I think you've answered this part of the question. So the magazine is an online product, right? So this is not a print product.
Correct.
And so did you, in order to support your magazine, did you receive sponsorships? And also, what kind of, I guess, subscribers do you have for the magazine at the present time?
We did not. We started off thinking about doing sponsorships, but did not end up doing that. We initially had kind of hokey advertisements um, that we were kind of culling from the internet, but we worked with a firm in California who said, it's better to have no advertisements than hokey ones. And so we took all those off. So we did not sell any advertisements. How do we fund Silver Sage Magazine? Traci Hill. That's how we fund Silver Sage Magazine. Every penny comes out of my pocket. I do have a webmaster who is amazing, and he's a partner in it. So should we do well, he'll get a percentage, but he provides no funding. Steve Fabian, he's our webmaster and he's great, but he does it free of charge on the hopes that we're going to someday do well. And then I have an editor who does all the editing for the magazine, the first glance of editing, and that's Tim Niederman, and he's located in Connecticut. And again, he's a partner in the venture, but he doesn't get paid. So none of us actually get paid, but I'm the only one who funds the magazine. Our writers get paid, I should say that. Our writers do get paid, but nobody else gets paid.
And Traci, this probably was on your website, but just curiosity. So when did you start at Silver Sage? So when was it established? How long you've had it for now?
Sure. So we did the launch in March 2018.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been around for about 3 years now.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. A question.
And I will say that every year we've done every year, it's only been a few years, but we've done a Silver Sage Summit where we have writers all over the country, all over the world. And each year we've had a summit at my home where they all come every August to the summit to meet each other, talk about the magazine, what we can do better, worse. Last year we did the summit virtually because of COVID. We're hoping that this year the summit will be in person again.
Okay. Yeah, good. So there's a question here that I'm going to combine with another question here. Now, it relates to your new venture, the Center Street, and also the CBD product line that you are marketing through that venture right now. So the first question is, so are there any synergy between your Center Street business, Center Street CBD, and the Silver Sage magazine? So is there any synergy between them, or are they completely separate?
They're really pretty separate. Silver Sage Magazine is for adults 40 plus. It's a community of Silver Sagers to provide community information, education, style. It's a lifestyle magazine for adults 40 plus. It has really nothing to do with Center Street Center. Center Street Center is just a counseling, psychological, mental, behavioral health center. So totally different. Although we do get Silver Sagers who come for counseling, they're not connected at all.
Okay. Is there a meaning behind the name Center Street Center? How did you come up with that?
Well, first, the meaning behind Silver Sage Magazine is silver for our hair and sage for our wisdom. So that's how we got Silver Sage Magazine. Center Street Center, the real legal name is Traci Hill, PhD and Associates, LLC. But our DBA is Center Street Center because we're located on Center Street. And when working with insurance companies, saying our full legal name is just a mouthful.
Yeah. Keeping the questions here with your new venture right now, and talking about the CBD product line. So what are some CBD products that you currently market out of Center Street Center?
Sure. So Centered CBD, we got the name from Center Street Center. So that we're doing pets and people. And again, we're focusing on products that have to do with mental well-being. So for the most part, we're doing one product that has nothing to do with mental wellness, which is a salve. Because of the COVID shots, we're doing a CBD muscle salve that's going to help people, whether they get a COVID shot and their muscles, their arm hurts, or whether they have a leg cramp or whatever. The salve is for that. But pets and people, so we're focusing on things that decrease pets or people's anxiety, stress, insomnia, those kinds of products.
Okay. Is there the CBD the CBD industry right now has, it's stiff competition, right? There are many that are involved in that right now. So pricing wise, where do you stand, and are there, so what is your competitive advantage? So what are some things that you think you do well that, let's say, your competitors do not?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So, first of all, we've partnered with two different farms because we want to make sure we're getting the best product. So, we tested the products on probably 3 dozen people before we solidified which farms to go with. We tried several different farms, narrowed it down to two. Um, well, competitive advantage. I'd say that we're priced on the lower end. Again, you know, I come from a family where philanthropy, phila- philanthropy, and giving back to the community is really important. So we're not looking to gouge the customers. So I think our pricing is much more reasonable than other places. Um, Additionally, each one of our products comes with a certificate of analysis. In the industry, there's a statistic that shows that 30% of CBD products don't have what they say that they contain. And so our products, each product comes with a certificate of analysis from a third party independent lab. We picked two independent labs, one in Florida and one in Colorado, to authenticate the organic ingredients, the CBD content, to make sure that every product has less than 0.3 THC. So it's just a real important thing that I think we offer. So if you're getting CBD in, say, the grocery store or the gas station, most likely that CBD is not authenticated. So I think that gives us a competitive advantage.
How are you marketing your business right now? So what are some things that you are doing to get the word out there? So, because that's a continuous process, and you have to do a number of things. So how are you marketing your new venture right now?
Right, great question. So let me go back to Centered CBD. So we were supposed to launch a couple of weeks ago. So it's interesting. I've never worked with a product before. I've always sold a service, right? Whether the service is Silver Sage Magazine, or whether the service is counseling and mental behavioral health services, or custody evaluations, etc. I've never actually sold a product. So let's go back 35 years ago. I used to have a traveling children's museum. Again, that was selling a service, not an actual tangible product. So this is my first venture into retail. So it's an interesting process, I have to say. You learn quickly. One of the things that happened was we got so we have CBD coffee, we have the salve, we have different infusions, which in the CBD world are called tinctures. But I'm a linguist and I hate the word tincture. It just doesn't sound good to me. So we call them infusions. Um, every oil is infused with CBD. We have gummies, we have dried fruits, and we have little pressed pills for insomnia. So those are our basic products. Um, what happened was again, we're using two different farms. We got the coffee that came in, that's awesome. We got all the pet products, that's awesome. It came in, it's great. But when we got the pouches for the gummies and for the dried fruits, none of the packages were sealed. So we opened it up to check the packaging and none of it was sealed. So I can't sell product that's not sealed. It's could be contaminated, it's unsafe, there's FDA regulations. Had to send it all back. So that put us way behind. And then our one of our bottles of tinctures, the infusions, I can't smell or taste anything because I got COVID 7 months ago and I still can't taste or smell. But I actually opened the box and smelled the infusion right away, which was unusual. So I picked up a couple random bottles, rubbed it on my hand, and oil was all over my hand. So those bottles also were not sealed. So there was some mistake that must have happened in the packaging part of it. Those all have gone back. So so that's been kind of a logistical nightmare. That's set us back. So you can't do photographs, you can't market your product, you can't go online until you have products to take photos of. So we've got photographs of our pet products, but we don't have photographs of much of anything else because we're waiting for everything to come back in order to take the photographs for the website in order to market them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think it does. Staying with your staying with your market there, and there's a question here. Um, and the question is there a prime? What is your primary target market? So if you really look at, everyone that you are servicing, is there a particular group that you are really focused after, and that also generates more revenue for you?
In terms of the centered CBD or in terms of all my different ventures?
In terms of the center CBD.
In terms of the centered CBD, so statistically, the highest users of CBD are 25 to 35-year olds. We're going for every, anybody, whether they're 25, 55, 75, it really doesn't make a difference. I think originally we're going to be starting to do local, the Lehigh Valley, focusing on a local marketing campaign and then see how it grows thereafter. One of the things we really won't sell that's a huge seller on the CBD market is vape, because vaping is considered very, very uh, risky to your health benefits. Anytime you inhale anything, whether it's a CBD oil, coconut oil, nicotine, it doesn't matter what you're vaping. It is not healthy. We've had a lot of people request that, and it's just something I'm opposed to. I don't want to hurt anyone. My professional motto is do no harm. So we won't do the vaping, but I think from a marketing campaign, anybody who's interested in CBD is a potential customer. But again, I think we'll start more in the local Lehigh Valley and then spread out depending on how successful or unsuccessful it is. So we'll see.
Does your CBD products have THC in it?
There's two products that have THC, but again, because of the 2018 Farm Bill Act, they have less than 0.3% THC per weight container. So the two products are, we have a Delta 8 product that has, it's like sort of next level. So it has a little bit, but less than the 0.3%. And that's for people who, again, very anxious, very stressed. It comes in an infusion. You drop it under your tongue. It's called sublingual, and that's the fastest bioavailability to get the CBD. So we have that. And the other product that has more CBD, again, still under the Farm Bill Act of 0.3%, is one of our pet products. It's one of the wolf treats that we have for dogs, because a lot of our clients were saying that they have animals that maybe have cancer or different high stress anxiety, that they need a little bit of that next level in terms of the THC. So we do offer that.
Yeah.
And I will say that the AKC endorses CBD for pets.
Yeah. What about, this is something new to me. So what about any specific strains like sativa or indica? I'm hoping that I said that right.
So with the hemp the strain is more specific to each individual farm. And so whatever that farm is growing, as long as it's extracted using the best and cleanest extraction method, which is through CO2, which is the only farms that we contracted with. In terms of CBD, it doesn't matter so much what the strain is. The strain is more particular when you're doing THC, because THC has the psychoactive component, and we're not interested in the psychoactive component. Like all these medical marijuana stores, they all have THC, they all have the psychoactive component. You're not going to pass a piss test. You're not going to pass, if you're driving and you're taking medical marijuana, you're going to be pulled over and you're going to be arrested for under the influence. And it also just has the psychoactive. And I just don't think that's really healthy for people to be under the influence, whether it's, daily drinking or daily smoking weed, whatever it is, the THC component is just not what we're endorsing, because it does have that psychoactive component.
Okay. I've got one more question. Then what I'm going to do, folks, is that I'll just open up the floor for you to ask your questions directly, and we can spend the last 10 minutes, on that, and then move towards announcement. So, Traci, what are your current challenges right now? So, what are some things that keeps you awake at night, right? So you started one business, still ongoing, but still got some, it's still moving along. But then you've got another one that you have just started right now. So, what are your challenges right now?
That's a great question. So, Raja, one of my biggest challenges is I'm a pretty intense individual. So, I get pretty hyped up and pretty excitable. So, one of my biggest challenges with all my businesses is you get more with sugar than you do with vinegar. So, when a product comes in and it's not salable, I literally want to scream and shout and break somebody's neck. But it's keeping calm and being nice and using the appropriate language, because if I scream and shout and get all in somebody's face on the phone, I'm just gonna, I'm not gonna get the services I need. So whether it's problems with CBD or frustration with, Silver Sage, my biggest personal thing is learning how not to be so excitable and keep it all calm, cool, and relaxed. My husband gets the brunt of that when I come home and I vent to him, but keeping it all together with other people, when things don't go well, that is my biggest challenge. In terms of the businesses, I think for Silver Sage, it's really want to get to that next level. I would love a Condé Nast. I would love to start selling some great advertising so we can bring in some revenue, pay our writers a little bit more. We already pay top dollar, but I would like to pay all our writers. So right now, after the 12th published piece, our writers get paid. But the first 12 articles, they do not get paid because I cannot afford to fund all of them myself. So if we got some funding, that would be awesome, because then we can pay writers from the first article, and that would be amazing. So that's Silver Sage. In terms of Center Street Center, that's a great question. So I've been in the mental health field for nearly 3 decades. When I came to the Lehigh Valley, I started Center Street Center, didn't know a soul. And I'm very comfortable and used to the courts because I've done a lot of work with the courts and courts and psychology. And so I pitched a lot of the courts over and over, got nowhere. But I was diligent, every year I would keep at the courts and send letters and connect with different people. And it finally paid off because I finally had Northampton County Courthouse finally get in touch with me and say, why didn't we find you earlier? You're amazing. It's like, I've been sending bleach really pays off. And as far as Center Street Center, we're still growing. I'm still looking to hire another clinician because we're so busy. I need to hire another new person. And it's finding that person that's the challenge. In terms of centered CBD, I don't know what my challenges are yet because we haven't hit the ground running yet. The quagmire with the product has set us back a couple weeks. So it's all new. Again, retail is a brand new endeavor for me. So it's a learning process, but that's what keeps me going, is the learning process. So
Well, great, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So, folks, I'm going to open up. I'm going to open up the floor now. So I may have missed a question or two. So you are more than welcome to unmute your mic and ask the question to Traci directly. So let's spend another 10 minutes on that. So who wants to go first? Who's got a question? Girish, yes.
Morning, Traci.
good morning,
That was
Girish.
a
Nice to
very
see you.
informative session. My question to you is, as Silver Sagers, many of us are kind of new or hesitant about CBD as a product, as a remedy, as a solution. So how would you go about addressing the challenge of educating the uninitiated potential customer to the benefits of CBD? What do you tell them to get away from Tylenol and go take this natural product CBD? What's the magic?
Girish, that's a great question. I don't know that there's a magic per se, but on our Center Street Center website, there is a tab for CBD and it's got a lot of information. You know, when I started in this CBD field, which is only 6 months ago, I'm one of those people, I dive into something. I do a lot of education, a lot of research, and it is a lot of information. I didn't know anything about the endocannabinoid system that we all have. It's called your ECS. I didn't know anything about that when I started. What I tell people is, you know, if you don't know, go to our CBD tab and read the information. It's kind of like a vitamin, right? If it works, awesome sauce. And if it doesn't, it just comes out of your system. So no harm, no foul, as opposed to some of these prescription medications. Same thing, right? If it doesn't work, it comes out of your system. But there's a more interactive with your whole being that may or may not work. So yeah, I don't know. I think that the older folk who don't know, there's a ton of research that's showing that CBD can help eliminate, not eliminate, but reduce cancer, you know, reduce anxiety, et cetera. There's a study that just came out. I think it was from the Netherlands. I posted it on LinkedIn. You can look at that. I want to say the Netherlands, but don't quote me. And that might be
Most likely.
because I do testing for a Fortune 500 company in the Netherlands. So that might be why it's in my head. But there's a new study that just came out that several people with cancer were just cured because they took CBD every day and nothing else was working. They took CBD every day and their cancer tumors were reduced and they're now cancer free. You know, I would say if you don't know about it, try it. If you like it, great. If you don't, everybody reacts to CBD differently. I tested on all my neighbors, and some neighbors, you know, they got supercharged from it. Some neighbors felt more relaxed from it. Everybody has a different endocannabinoid system, so it's going to react differently with each person.
Thank you. Yeah, there is a kind of a perhaps undesired or unsubstantiated link between marijuana and CBD, you know. So that's something that has to be overcome. One is not the same as the other one.
Absolutely. And the big difference, their CBD and THC have the exact same chemical structure, but they're organized differently. So
Correct.
maybe CBD is organized like this and THC is organized like this, but the chemical structures are identical. They're just organized differently. So that's the difference between the psychoactive component in THC and the non-psychoactive component in CBD. So one example, my husband tried the sleeping pill, the one that helps you sleep, and it knocked him out, like knocked him out. And for I've tried it and it helps, but not the same effect. So some people really, their ECS's systems are real receptive, and some people's not as receptive. So it's just trying it and seeing if it works for you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Well, thank you. Anyone else has a question? You can just raise your hand, unmute your mic, and just go for it.
I think Rita is jumping at the bit there. I see her. No?
Yep, Cassandra, go ahead.
Hi, sorry. I tried going on your website and it says it's not ready yet. So I was a few minutes late. I wasn't sure if this stuff is ready for the Lehigh Valley yet. But I was just wondering, do you have any specific products that are for elevating mood and giving energy?
Yeah. Hi, Cassandra. Thank you. The website is not up. Centeredcbd.us is not up because we've had a product snafu. So we're a couple weeks behind. So we're hoping to be up and running by May 15th. But our centerstreetcenter.com if you go on the CBD tab, you'll see information on it, but none of the product yet. As far as product that does both, that's the beautiful thing about CBD is it reacts differently with each person. So I think like the coffee, the CBD coffee is one of my favorites because it's supposed to kind of calm you down but energize you at the same time because it's got the coffee caffeine component plus the CBD component, and I love that. Um, Same with the other products. Everybody is sort of different. Like I was saying, I tried the gummies with my neighbors. One neighbor got energized by it, calmly energized, not energized like frenetically, but calmly energized. And some of the other ladies felt that they were just more chill and not as stressed out. So again, it's like any medication, it's like any food. Everybody reacts differently. Taste buds, your entire system in your body. So I would just say try something and see if it works for you. And if it does, awesome. And if it doesn't, try something else. The other great thing about CBD is that there's no, you don't get addicted to it. So you can take it every day and there's no addiction component. And so what we recommend to people is once you find the level that works for you, stick with it. You don't have to keep increasing your level like you would with alcohol or THC or any of those. Once you find your good level, you just stick with
Okay, thank you.
it. Hmm.
I have put your, I think I probably, I hope I wrote it correctly. I put your website on the chat here. It's called centeredstreetcbd.com, correct?
No, the CBD is centered cbd.us,
Yeah.
but that's not up yet until we get our product for photos and marketing and the whole big thing.
Well, what is your current other website that you just talked about?
I'll put it on there now.
Yeah, that'd be great. There you
I
go.
can see. Yeah.
Okay.
And then
Yes, Matt.
Tracy, great presentation, and thank you for
Thank you.
sharing your experiences with us. I'm curious, besides marketing on the website, what are some other ideas that you're exploring and about how you're going to market the product?
Good question, Matt. So originally we were thinking of doing a mailing campaign using those giant postcard things. I get them and I read them. And so I thought that was a great idea until I saw the cost involved in doing those mailing campaigns.
Mhm.
Very expensive. So I think for us, it's starting small and really we have centered underscore CBD. I'll put that on there. I should put my glasses on so I don't give somebody else's information. Centered underscore CBD is our Instagram account. But again, there's nothing on there because we haven't started yet. I want to wait until all our product is there before we start, doing a social media campaign. But I think social media is the way to go, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, Pinterest, etc. I think really that's the most cost effective when you're starting, as opposed to mail campaigns, which are very expensive. So that's the way we're going to start, as well as word of mouth, because like I said, we have Center Street Center, and our clients are crazy excited about this and waiting for the product to hit. So.
Yeah, no, one of the things I was thinking about, I happen to have a number of very loud dogs in the neighborhood. And I was thinking of my neighbors. And I'm thinking that maybe, I don't know, maybe promoting to local veterinarians might be a good idea.
Absolutely. My local vet, I'm going to go see her on Saturday with my dog, Sigmund Freud. And so we're going to see her on Saturday and we're going to work with her because she is my vet. And so we'll start there, and absolutely going to the local places, SPCAs, et cetera, around the area. That's a great idea. And yes, we're definitely doing that.
Good. Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And you can throw your neighbor's dogs some like CBD treats and see if it works.
I was thinking of that.
We have a new little chick and her name is Blue. She's 3 weeks old now. And when we first brought her home, my dog Sigmund Freud, he's used to the chicks. He had 6 chicks. And so we lost one after the winter. We got Blue. She's 3 weeks old. Anyway, he's just obsessed with her. Bark, 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 bark. He won't leave her alone, just constantly stressed about her. He wasn't eating. He wasn't doing anything. So gave him a CBD. I took a video of him bark, 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 obsessing over her, gave him a CBD, waited 30 minutes. There's another video of him just laying there next to her little container, just chilling. That'll go on our site once, we hit, but it works.
All right, Tracy, I'll be calling you.
All right, cool.
Nicole, looks like you've got a question. Go for it.
It wasn't a question so much as just considering doggy daycares, because you're probably reaching out to some families who do leave their dogs at home. I know some of my friends had started putting their dogs in daycare because they were so anxious being alone. And you've got people, I know myself, my dogs are very used to having me at home 24/7 right now. And when that time comes to transition back out into the world again, they're going to be home alone. And that might be something that might be helpful to market to people who might have anxious dogs because of that, and doggy daycare centers.
Absolutely. That's a great idea. Thank you. I happen to have 4 grand dogs, and I'm going to go. I'll be seeing them in 2 weeks. I fly out to Colorado and California, and I'm bringing my products with me as a gift to my 4 grand dogs, and I'm super excited. My kids are so excited that they want to try this for their babies. So yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you.
If I can interject real quick, I know that they're interested because there's a product called Fromo, which is it's a CBD infused ice cream for dogs, and the difficulty of getting it into the daycare where my dog is currently, why you don't hear it, is because of the freezer. And so if there's something that's not frozen, that's actually something they're interested in, but they couldn't keep it because it was frozen.
Interesting. Thank you, Debbie. It's also interesting you say that. One of the things that somebody asked earlier, what sets us apart? Again, I'm kind of a naturalist, as you can see by my hair going silver. But for the pets, cats and dogs, a lot of people sell the tinctures, the oils. I don't know if any of you have a cat or a dog, but I can tell you that if you put a drop of this stuff, of any drops of anything in your dog's mouth, they're going to shake it. There's going to be stuff flying everywhere. Not cool. And with cats, oh my God, you're going to be scratched up the wazoo if you try to put drops in a cat's mouth. Now you can take the oil and rub it on to their paws, but then you get the oil on your carpet or on your floor. So who wants that? We decided to go the more humane route, and we're only selling treats to pets. So only treats, no drops. That's gonna freak out a dog even more. Just treats. So you give the dog a treat, they love it, it tastes delish, easy for them to eat. You don't have to wrestle them to the ground and worry about all that nonsense. So
we used to with our dog Scooter, if we needed to give him something, hide it in the food, like mix it into the food, so that way, and then he would just eat it. So and that's how we were able to get, if we needed to give something to our dog.
absolutely. And you can do that with the oil, but we just thought treats were just easier because it's already infused in the treat. So exactly the same thing. Most people do that. They take a pill and they wrap it in peanut butter or something like that. So yeah, same concept.
As we are coming towards the end here, so Cassandra, looks like you have your hands up. So if you want to ask something quickly, go for it, because then we'll spend the next 2-3 minutes with this announcement. Go ahead.
Oh, it was more like just wanted to say something. Like I've heard of pets having CBD, especially when they have trouble eating in general because they're older, they have a lot of pain and inflammation. And I've heard of people giving them to their pets and they were eating normal again, and just some good benefits.
Absolutely, Cassandra, that there's a lot of research on that. And again, the AKC promotes that. So yeah, thank you.
So Traci, so one final question to you. So how can we, as a community, support what you're doing. So how can we help you?
Tell everybody you know about Silver Sage Magazine, and have them log on and read it. It's Silver Sage Mag. I'll put it on here, silversagemag.com. So tell everybody you know about Silver Sage Magazine. Tell everybody you know about Center Street Center. If you need behavioral and mental health counseling, we do custody evaluations, we do co-parenting, we do individual blah, blah, blah sessions. We have bilingual counselors. And tell everybody you know about Centered CBD. It should be coming out in the next couple of weeks. We're super psyched, whether you have it for your pet or for humans. We're excited about it. So that's what you all can do.
So one thing that you may want to also keep in mind is, from time to time, join the 1 Million Cups. And as a participant, this is every Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock. And we'll make sure that, you get the Zoom link and the invitation to join. So if you have anything new coming product-wise, anything exciting that you are doing with your new organization or with the Silver Sage, you can certainly make an announcement. That might also be helpful for the future.